banksters.com. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Hello, this is Steve Shank with an urgent update from eFoods Direct. Folks, we're all fighting huge food price increases. eFoods Direct has been doing all we can this year to help you get food before the perfect storm of exploding food prices from the 2011 harvest. During September, eFoods is giving you free shipping on your food supply orders. But you have to understand, we're entering the eye of the food cost storm. Ethanol is boosting gas prices and driving corn costs so high our wheat for bread is going into animal feed, and pasta wheat cost has doubled since last year. I strongly advise you to get your order in before the free shipping deadline, September 30th. Free shipping, including Alaska and Hawaii, ends September 30th. Call 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Remember, you can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
We now take you live
to the Central Texas Command Center
in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
All right, I'm going to break down the world financial situation. It's going exactly as the globalists have planned, holding the planet hostage so they get more power, and then holding us a hostage again, getting more power, and then holding us hostage again, and getting more power, and launching more wars. But the hypocrisy is starting to come out, and the Germans and the French and others, the establishment candidates, are losing more elections. The problem is then the other party that comes into power is bought and paid for by the same interest. But the public is becoming wise to the scam. Okay, here's the big, ultra-simple point that needs to be gotten out there. And it is enshrined in the article by Kurt Nimmo and Alex Jones at Infowars.com. Ron Paul is half a step from first place. And why did I go to that headline? Well, I watched this Fox News clip this morning. I hadn't seen it until this morning, but they said it yesterday on Fox News Sunday. Fox News panel, Perry campaign near total collapse. And if you go to the quote, Britt Hume said that he is half a step away from total collapse. Now, what does half a step towards total collapse for Rick Perry mean for Ron Paul? We've seen Rick Perry surge to #1 when he said abolish the Federal Reserve, they're treasonous, they're treacherous, you know, I want to battle the New World Order. Suddenly, that's not bad to talk like that, as Limbaugh has always said with his kook detector. Now it was good, and Limbaugh said it was good, and Glenn Beck said it was good, and the Republican establishment was like, yay! So Rick Perry tried to become Ron Paul, surged to #1 in every major poll, and then for a month, that is those of us that know the truth, put out his real record. And when he got called on his record, you were for sanctuary cities? You were for in-state tuition? He said, yeah, you betcha. And you don't have a heart if you aren't. Really, if you go down to Mexico and ask for free tuition, you'll just get arrested. I mean, they don't have illegals in their school system, period. Mexico has the most draconian immigration laws in this hemisphere. Don't believe me, just type in Mexico admits most draconian or strongest immigration laws. I mean, you get hard labor in a prison 6 months to 1 year. You get beaten if you're lucky. There's only certain areas of Mexico that foreigners can even buy land. And a lot of that's taken by the government. So what, Mexico doesn't have a heart? Oh, I forgot, the Southwest is Mexico, and that's taught in Mexico schools. I mean, let's just be honest about this, that we're a bankrupt country. And in Texas, they take our tax money to pay for the in-state school system. So when you get in-state tuition, it's about half what it is if you're from Oklahoma or Arkansas or Mississippi or Louisiana, or not just bordering states, any state. If you're a Hispanic, black, white, if you're an American, you try to come to Texas to go to UT or any other state school, you're going to pay roughly double. Or, what the Dallas Morning News breaks down, $91,000 more for a 4-year degree. Oh, what about having a heart for other people? Well, see, Texans paid for that. Side issue, though. Side issue. George Bush was for open borders. NAFTA and GATT. Doesn't help Mexico, doesn't help us. Lowers all of our wages. Mexican wages go down, U.S. wages go down. If Mexico wouldn't have had the U.S. to dump 30 million people in, they would have had a real revolution. By the way, I saw the new numbers this morning, and I even heard local Fox cover it. But I didn't even know this. They're now reporting 40,000 dead in the last 4 years. So I have a tendency to quote old numbers, 30,000. It's now 40,000 dead in drug war on the U.S.-Mexico border. 40,000. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam in a decade was 58,000. 40,000. And they actually called it a war on the news. And if you watch the video of myself 7, 8 years ago confronting Vicente Fox and Rick Perry, there's Perry. They're getting an award from Fox. Fox drives by with like 30 motorcycles or more and all these other police cars like he was the president of the planet, pulls up in front of the governor's mansion, rolls down his window, gives us a dirty look. He had like green color to his face like a vampire in the nighttime light. He's like 6 feet away. He rolled the window down and gave me a look that actually made me shudder. I mean, I'll admit it. It was like, I've never had a leader actually make me shudder. He rolled the window down. It was like, he was like green, like some vampire, and smiled at us with just pure evil. Everybody was like, woo! It wasn't just me. Everybody was like, ah! We have to dig through that video. The guy that runs our YouTube channel actually found it in the prisonplanet.tv archives. It's prisonplanet.tv's been around that long. And I know if we find that original video somewhere around here, if we blew it up, because it was shot digitally, I know you can barely see his face in the footage, but it looks not too good on YouTube. It's up on prisonplanet.tv, like I said. And then they pull around and went down there, and I went and bullhorned them while they had their press conference. And the cops come up and were going to arrest me. And I said, go ahead, but you've lost personal lawsuits, a whole bunch of them right here in Austin just a few years ago. Back in 2000 they had, so that was a few years ago in 2003. And the cops backed off, did their job, didn't violate the First Amendment. So I was able to shut their press conference down. And we have those newscasts where you can hear me talking over them from about 70 yards away from the street, bullhorning up towards the press conference. So they just shut the press conference down. All right, now I'm digressing. You tuned in. I said I was going to get to the key, simple point. And because I have a problem. I have trouble giving sound bites. I have trouble just making things simple. I see detail. I see complex connections. I want to go through it all. I literally just pretty much I turn the microphone on and just start spilling out information. Here's the big news flash. Ron Paul is half a step from first place. Ron Paul is half a step from first place. Why? Because if you expose Rick Perry's record, he will be politically destroyed for the nightmare, slimy, globalist, big government politician he is. For the poser, for the political chameleon he is, and Ron Paul, who's number 3, will become number 2. If you destroy Mitt Romney, who is exactly the same, sanctuary cities, in-state tuition-free legals, wrote Obamacare, on record, supports carbon taxes, is praised by Al Gore, and it goes on and on. If you use his record against him, it is like pouring gasoline on the ground and throwing a match in it. It's going to explode. He will burn down. Both of these guys are so weak and so pathetic, all we've got to do is crush them. Now, this is a big test for the old, dying dinosaur media. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Ron Paul is already the second biggest earner. Ron Paul is winning most of the straw polls, and in scientific polls is number 2 or number 3. So, we destroy Rick Perry, we destroy Mitt Romney with their records, and it is Ron Paul. Now, they're going to try to bring in Chris Christie and hope you don't look at his carbon tax record. Oh, you didn't know that about him? Or his gun grabbing. Oh, he did some austerity and shut down some government projects? Whoop-de-doo. What about corporate welfare? What about supporting bailouts? They hope that you don't find out about Jabba the Hutt. They'll try to bring him in. Okay, it'll take them a few months to figure out him. And then if that doesn't work, they'll throw in some more and say, oh, they're the new leader. But see, cycles have sped up now. It doesn't take 5 years to figure out a politician's a dirty, two-faced liar. People find out in months now. We need to make it weeks. And I'll tell you, one reason Rick Perry has been exposed is the Drudge Report. It's bigger than the New York Times and Facebook and Twitter combined. They've had big actuaries out over and over again this year proving it. #1 news driver in the world. And he has been linking to the Tea Party sites that have Rick Perry supporting carbon taxes and Al Gore and government-run health care and the rest of it. And he's been linking to stuff about Mitt Romney. Not as much because people haven't been getting out as much on Mitt Romney. But Infowars.com, DrudgeReport.com, these are big sites that are able to actually get something on the agenda past the mainstream corporate whore media. And I will assure you, this proves the Drudge Report is totally independent, because if he was part of the Republican Party structure, he would not be destroying Rick Perry. He would not be getting ready to destroy Mitt Romney. And people ought to be praying for Matt Drudge, because I can tell you right now, Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com together are huge. But nothing compared to Drudge Report. You had my YouTube videos, the radio show, all of it. We've probably got total person reach 70% of the audience of a Matt Drudge. But Matt Drudge is just articles. It's just agenda. He can set the agenda. That's something we're 20% of Drudge in that department. Okay, Facebook's 20, 30%. I mean, it's all fractured, a bunch of people scurrying around, even though overall it's much bigger overall than Drudge. Drudge is like a Death Star particle beam of focused energy. And that's the most important thing in this world, is to be able to break through that electronic Berlin Wall and actually put something on the plate, on the agenda, on the menu that the establishment doesn't want there. So I've said it a lot of different ways, but I'm going to say it to you this way. Ron Paul is in third place, no debate. In many respects, he's in first place in the real world. Let's just say he's in third, as he said. That's conservative. If we destroy Mitt Romney and Rick Perry with their record, and they deserve it, and stop being naive, and don't buy into the latest version of establishment Ken doll. We've already had Obama, now we've got the 2 new Ken dolls on the Republican side. It's over for them. And they'll try every dirty trick against Ron Paul. They'll throw everything at him. So what? So what if it's a rigged game? We still take the field and show it's a rigged game. I went and saw a great movie. I know it won Sundance Film Festival and some others, but I went and saw Senna, about the Formula One race car driver. Because of all the sports out there, race car driving is gladiatorial. People die. It's all about, you know, the equipment and the individual, and there's the politics. And I don't remember why I brought up that movie now. I had an analogy about Ron Paul I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. Even though Formula One got caught rigging things and letting cars have computers when he couldn't because they got jealous of him beating all their champions, and even though he ended up getting killed in the end, they recognized him as the best Formula One driver ever. And he would go out even when they were cheating him and still sometimes lose, but sometimes beat them, and that's what made him even the greater champion. You don't, just because something's rigged, not get on the field. You have to get on the field to show